Hello and welcome. It's Helen Amory here from Wild Fig Solutions, in case you've not met me before. And I'm coming on to talk to you about the Wild Fig community for two reasons. One, because it will give you a sense of where you are in your own spiritual journey and your own right next steps for you, what feels right for you. But also because there are some changes coming with the Wild Fig community. And I want you to know the latest of what it's like in there, what we're up to, so that if it feels like the right fit for where you are in your journey, you've got the opportunity to come in and be on founding members' prices. So this community started life when I was spanning the whole journey of awakening and enlightenment. So for those of you who followed for a while, you'll know that mine and Sarah's book, The Complete Book of Awakening, came out a year ago. And that is given, it's about awakening, very specifically about the awakening conversation, very specifically about the recognition of our essential nature. And we distinguish that from enlightenment, which is about our conditioned patterns, which is about our psychological experience, which is about understanding all the aspects of ourselves that have been rejected, resisted, excluded, all the parts of ourselves that we're afraid of, all the aspects that we think are terrible or unacceptable, the bits that we've tried our best to push away or cover over. That enlightenment aspect is the full inclusion of all of that and the full loving of all of that. So in coming in to write that book and the journey that's happened since then, with Thoughtful Raven taking the lead with Awakening, because that's what the Complete Book of Enlightenment's about, and Thoughtful Raven is our publishing house. Awakening is sitting very beautifully in Thoughtful Raven land, and the Thoughtful Raven community is all about that book and that exploration. It will no doubt grow and expand and change over time, but right now that's its focus. And I've noticed that over time, that's meant the Wild Fig community's purpose has changed and shifted. So I'd really like to talk to you about that, because in that shift and through feedback from the community recently, which really, really helped hone the purpose of the Wild Fig community, it means I'm able to come and share with you the stage of the journey, that the aspect of the journey that I see that community so perfectly serving, which is as important as what Thoughtful Raven are doing. It's the enlightenment part of the journey that we're doing in Wild Fig, and in a very particular way. So let me talk a little bit about the journey that people tend to go on or have gone on prior to joining the Wild Fig community, so that you can see, does that feel like it fits with where you are in your journey? And therefore, might that be the right place for you to hang out? So what I see consistently is that when we've come into any kind of spiritual exploration, and something in us has woken up to the fact we're more than just this person, there can be a huge, or little, but there's generally some kind of settling, some kind of expansion, some kind of, oh my goodness, this is amazing. You know, there's usually some level of something falling away and you being left with a clarity that you didn't know was available before, or a feeling of groundedness that you didn't know was available before, or a peacefulness, or a sense of love. And what tends to happen then is that the old conditioned patterns of thinking and feeling in the body come back into our lived day-to-day life, and perfectly, because it's inviting us to, now having had a glimpse and seen there's something amazing about who I really am, there's then an invitation to deepen and integrate further. So to deepen in the recognition of who we really are, awakening, but also to continue the enlightenment journey, the integration and inclusion of all of the aspects of ourselves that we think we should be not including, that we think are terrible about who we are. For as long as we don't move towards the enlightenment conversation, we will keep seeing repeating patterns of behaviour within ourselves, repeating patterns of relationships with others in the outside world, or in relationship with our work, or in relationship with money, relationship with anything. All of this is relationship, all of this human experience. But the key thing is that we'll keep seeing these patterns over and over again. And very often the thinking aspects of that are quite relatively easy to see through. So we can test our psychological experience with questioning about whether it's true. Byron Katie's The Work is an amazing example of this. Is it really true? Can you absolutely know it's true? And to see that, in fact, there are many other possibilities available than this one-track mind had originally imagined. So that aspect of the Enlightenment inquiry is often one of the first ones that we move into, to see through all these invisible prison bars we've been living within, to start to let some of these drop away and start to see that, oh, all these things I've been living by aren't true. I don't need to live by that anymore. But what often happens is that then, in the clearing and integration of that thinking, the feelings and emotions become more prominent. It's like they were hidden underneath all the thinking. And they seem, I don't know if it's true or not, because I literally can't know, but it seems like we now can see through the thinking, but the system is still reacting as though the story was still true, as though the thought was still true. And that is my favourite place to support people in their exploration. That is the primary purpose of the Wild Fig community. So yes, we do a little bit of looking to the truth of who we are. Yes, we do some questioning of our psychological ideas. But the bit that I love the most, and that we are doing more and more of in the Wild Fig community, is being with this feeling and emotional system. Because in the absence of doing that, we simply continue to keep running away from it. We simply continue to keep reacting against it in fear. And we see the same behaviour patterns play out, even though we've seen through the thinking. And we can feel quite dumbfounded by that. We're like, why is this still happening? I've seen through that thinking. I know that's not true. Why am I still reacting in this way? Why am I still behaving in this way? Why is this same relationship dynamic still showing up? And it's because we haven't gone down into that next layer, really close in, to make loving friendship with whatever it is that's showing up, whatever this fear is that's showing up in our system. And for me personally, I love going towards things proactively. I'm quite impatient. I've been quite impatient through the whole of my exploration. I'm not really one for wishing or hoping or fingers crossed at some point that will be enlightened from my system. I'm very much one for active movement towards things. Like, right, here's the next thing. What do we do with this? How do we love this? How do we include this? How do we resolve this? So all of this exploration within the Wild Fig community now is really grounded in fundamentally becoming unafraid of our experience, which, yes, does still include becoming unafraid of our thinking, but primarily is about becoming unafraid of how we feel, of our emotional reaction. And to be fair, of some of those deeper fears that are really hidden in our system. So these surface thoughts, the initial psychological stuff we come across, is quite easy to see through. Like I said, if the belief is, well, I'm not capable, it doesn't take us very long to find evidence to the contrary, to go, oh, well, that's not true. But when we go down deeper into our feelings and our emotions, we discover much more childlike origin beliefs, like I am fundamentally wrong, like I am unlovable, I am unacceptable. And for as long as these stay in the system, and I really feel them, for me, they're very much down in the belly. That's not the case for everybody, but for me, they are in the belly. And that's where I meet them. That's where I make friends with them. That's where I love and include them and integrate them. So that these repeating patterns, which, if you know my river metaphor, are represented by whirlpools, they can stop going round and round. They can just become part of the flow of experience. And then we see behaviour change, because then who we really are before the river flows into the human experience at the top of the river and flows beautifully, easily downstream into the content of life with whatever we're doing, whoever we're doing it with. And therefore we feel enlightened. Therefore everything feels easier, more enjoyable, more fun, more aligned, more authentic to me, rather than trying to live a life that's meant to be acceptable to somebody else. So this is very much the focus of what we're doing in Wild Fig now. It's a very loving space. It's a very inclusive space. So we have primarily people who've come from non-duality, three principles, law of attraction, but we also have people who've come from Course of Miracles, from Scott Killaby's work, from mindfulness approaches. So there's no requirement of you must be on this certain path in order to join, because we're all going in the same direction. There are just different ways of getting there. And it's this eclectic approach that I've valued throughout my whole of my journey, and which therefore I love being able to replicate in that space, to see that all paths have value, all approaches, all modalities, all techniques, all of it has value. And the more that we can bring that eclectic mix together in ways that help us find what's right for me, in a space where there isn't judgment about the right way to do it, a space where we share stuff, I share stuff, you find your way, and then you've got a whole bunch of people around you who support you in that process. You've got me there who's to support you in that process. Often so valuable, because very often we're the only one in our kind of normal everyday experience who's in this kind of exploration. So to have somewhere that we can be with others who are also beautifully loving and inclusive and non-judgmental. Of course, we've all got our stuff. Of course, we've all got things that we're working through. In fact, if anything, I think that makes us more loving and non-judgmental, because we're all very aware, yeah, we've all got stuff. And there's so much support and so much, co-creation and so much exchange together so that when people post and say, there's things happening, how can you help me? There's this flow of love in the form of different supports and ideas, and a perfect opportunity, again, that eclectic approach. You then, as the recipient, get to choose, right, what lights me up from what people have shared here? What do I want to go with? What do I want to follow? And in addition to that, there are calls, there are all members calls, there are calls specifically for a higher level, there are trainings, there are ad hoc, spontaneous, free things, bonus things, extra programs, discounted stuff. There is so much good stuff in there, and so much value when you engage with it, if you want to engage with it. So as with anything, the more you give, the more you get. The more you engage, the more difference you see in your experience. And so if this is feeling like the stage you're at in your journey, where you've seen something about who you are, you've inquired a whole bunch into your thinking, and now you're being invited deeper into the feelings and emotions that have been underlying all of that thinking anyway in the first place. If that's where you feel you are in your journey, and you're ready for that next level, deeper exploration, then this is totally the place for you to be, if you want it. If you love being in online communities, if you love engaging with different content from different teachers and different guides, if you love sharing and being open and honest, knowing that that actually gives you so much back. You see it every single time, and a lot of the members have said that in their recent feedback. You ask for support, it comes in bucket loads. You share where you're at, and people shower you with love. And also celebrate you when things are going amazing. So it really is all included in here. And if you're interested, as I said at the beginning of this, if you join now before the 12th of December, you're going to join on founding members rates. So over the course of the last year and a bit, although really 2 years and a bit, because we were in Patreon before we were in Circle, so it's really 2 and a bit years of content which has been curated into this space, which is going to continue expanding and getting more and more valuable. If you want to join now and be guaranteed lifetime founding members rates, unless you leave and come back again, as long as you stay in there, you will be on the founding members rates. And from the 12th of December, then the prices are increasing to reflect the value that is now in that community. So if you want an amazing deal to come into this community, if this is the place you're at in your exploration, you've moved already into the enlightenment process, you've seen through a bunch of the thinking, and the feelings and the emotions just keep coming. And in fact, perhaps they even feel stickier and worse than they ever did before. This is the space to be. So yeah, briefly, there are 4 levels of membership. You pick which level you want to join on. I always recommend you go for the highest level you can afford when you join, because you get 50% off. So then you get to really see a lot of what's available for you. So if in future you want to move back up, you've seen what's available. You might even want to stay on that level. You might go, oh my God, this value is amazing. I'm going to stay on here for a while. The great thing is you can move up and down through these 4 levels as much as you want. You could move week to week if you wanted. You can move it based on what you need at any particular point in your journey. You can move based on what your budget's like in any particular week or month. The key is, what I really want is that you come wanting to engage with this. You come knowing that this is what's right for you next. You come knowing that this is the stage of the journey I'm on. It's for love and inclusion of all of these aspects of myself that I've spent most of my life rejecting and resisting and pushing away. So if you're ready for full love and inclusion of all of you, for your enlightenment, for the resolution of the repeating patterns that keep playing again and again and again, then I would love you to consider coming to join us in the World Fig community. If you've got questions, reach out. I'd love to help answer them, help clarify anything that's not clear from what I've shared today. And I will drop the link below. If you're watching this in my newsletter, it will be in the newsletter. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's there in the description. So you can see the levels of membership. You can see what you get for each one. You can read what other members have said about the community. And as I say, get in touch with any questions you have. I look forward to welcoming you in. Lots of love.